Welcome, podcast fans. It's time for the What's Up Bro podcast show presented by J&J Production Studios, the home for all your entertainment needs. All kinds of great topics discussed every week, a variety of different themes offered, special guest appearances, prize giveaways, and so much more. Stay tuned. And now, here are your hosts, Sam Crow and Big Hoss.
Well, there we go. Hello, good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. I can't believe we are here once again. Hope everybody is having a fantastic week. It is the start of the weekend, and as always, for your entertainment and pleasure, we are here to kick off the weekend right for you guys. Thank you so much for making us part of your weekend. We hope we can provide some relaxation for you all. We always enjoy doing this. It's always a lot of fun, and again, it's just such a treat for us. I know I've been waiting for this. I always wait for this. These moments are just so precious for us. And again, this is no different this time, especially because if you've been following us, you know why. But tonight we have a very special show. We've been advertising this for the last several weeks. I'm not going to give too much away. We have a special mystery guest who is here with us tonight and is her first appearance on the show. And again, I'm going to give to her in just a moment. We are going to do our normal announcements to get started before. I'm going to have you guys hang on and bait your breath just for a few moments longer. But I wanted to welcome you all here. If you're listening live, listening to us on Spreaker, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, anywhere you can find us, we are continuing to spread out and branch out. So check that out. We're also on YouTube. You can check out the official YouTube channel. This episode will be up there, posting there after we go live, so you can check that out later on if you're not able to join us here presently. But let's get into the announcements, and then we will go into our show there. Of course, obviously, I am Sam Crow. Big Hoss will be with us soon. I know he's taking a bit of a siesta there. I did give him his wake-up call for the show. Hopefully, he will jump in shortly. We're going to continue to reach out to him. But for time-wise, we do have to get into it, and we're going to get started. So let's do our announcements quickly and briefly because I want to get right to our guest, who is the feature highlight for the show tonight. So, as always, our first announcement, as we mentioned to everybody, we give a big shout-out to our good friend and buddy, Mr. J. Check out his show, RagnarokInc.com. On Spreaker, you can catch it, the Sanitarium channel. We have been on there a couple times. We might replay that. I have the episode still. We made a couple guest appearances there. I played some clips last weekend, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We're hoping to get him back on the show. We want to get him here, and hopefully we'll get back on the show, but we want to plug him. It's a great show. It's really a lot of fun and entertaining, and it's the same likewise for us, and he's been doing us a huge favor by advertising for us as well, which we greatly appreciate. He's one of the producers for our show. He helps us out wherever we need him, and we just greatly appreciate everybody who helps us to do that. It just makes our life and our job a lot easier, and we can focus being the on-air talent that's going to provide all the great fun and entertaining things for you guys, the listeners. So check that out. You can go back and check out all the past episodes. I know he's been taking a bit of a break. They've had some family issues going on there, but he will be back this week sometime, so stay tuned for that. Also want to mention, too, again, as far as for our show, check us out. Again, if you haven't, we are up and running on Facebook. We have our business page going, as well as a Facebook group. You can check that out. You can jump in there. It's public. It's a public group, free, open to everybody. Come in and hang out with us. We post updates there, typically. We have a lot of great things that we can do there. You want to check that out. It's a lot of fun, so give a shot there. Or check it out. You can shout out there is what I was going to say. Excuse me. So give us a shout out there. You can also email us at our email address, whatsupbroshow@yahoo.com. Business inquiries, you can contact fan mail, all that great stuff. Also, a reminder, too, again, we are coming into the end of October, but we still have the contest giveaway challenge going. If you refer someone to the show, whether that's through Facebook, whether that's having them join one of the podcast sites where they can listen to the show, contacting us through email, subscribing to the YouTube channel, anything of that nature, we will enter you into a giveaway for potential winnings, so some prizes that we have to give away. So if you want a chance to earn some great, cool stuff, that's a great way to do it. And again, it's just a lot of fun for us. It helps us, but it also helps us help you because we're able to give something back, which we always want to do. So that will run for the rest of the year. It's going to run into the new year up to that point, so you have plenty of time. Don't worry. We're going to keep announcing this. But definitely check that out. If you have questions about it, you can contact us through the show. You can contact us through email, on Facebook, any which way. If you have questions about that at any point in time, you can do that as well. But check that out. Also, again, if you missed it last Sunday or this past Sunday, technically, we did have the next episode of the show we did with Ramsey Veach of Impulse Martial Arts, where we train and we do our martial arts training. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. It was a lot of fun. Ramsey will be back. We have a tentative schedule right now for Friday, November 4th. Our normal time will be at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be able to do that. That will fit into his schedule. So stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fantastic. It's been great so far. We appreciate that. Appreciate all our guests here, especially our special guest tonight, who we're going to introduce here in just a second. Our last announcement we want to mention, too, is also the website, which we've been sharing with you guys, is going to be going up for the show. We have Mrs. Olivia Bright, who's been helping us put that together, who's been in charge of that. She's been doing a great job. We appreciate that. We'll be having something along the lines of that coming soon. But we really do appreciate everybody who helps us behind the scenes making this show work. Again, it takes a lot of hands to do this. We can't do it ourselves. It just takes the burden off us entirely. So a lot of great people, a lot of great folks who we have heard. Mr. Fire's been on the show. We're going to have Mr. J back on the show, amongst a few others. And so with that, though, in that segue, I'm going to introduce, and again, if you've been following the show, you know who it is already, but if you are just tuning into this and don't know, I saved that last announcement for a reason. We have in studio tonight, making her first appearance on the show, is the webmaster herself, Mrs. Olivia Bright. Good evening, Olivia. How are you tonight?
Hi, good evening. Good. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very good. Are you excited? We're really excited to have you here.
I'm excited. A little nervous.
That probably goes without saying. I know we talked about it, and I assured her often that, this is very laid back. It's very relaxed. So there's nothing. You guys are very, very forgiving and understanding. And listen, we make plenty of mistakes here on the show. So you'll fit right in. So don't worry about it. This is totally, totally kick back, laid back, and all that great stuff. It's the weekend. So, no pressure whatsoever. But we're so thankful you're here. We appreciate you being here. We're hoping you'll want to come back. We have some other great things we can do with you as well. But we're so appreciative of your time to come here. We're going to jump right in here. We're going to get into it. So typically how this starts and how this works, we will ask you to talk a little about yourself. Again, you can share as much or as little as you want. It's just kind of give everybody a background as to who you are and to kind of tie in. We'll get into the working aspect of it, but this is more personally for you. And like I said, as much as you want to share, as little as you want to share, is perfectly fine. I'm going to give you the mic, give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about Olivia. Who is Olivia Bright?
All right. Well, I'm going to make this cheesy to start off with for a couple laughs. My name's
fine.
Olivia. I'm 28 years old. I'm a Gemini.
That's all right. That's a good start.
I'm totally kidding. So yeah, but I'm a mom of 3.
Okay.
I have 1 angel baby, but still mom of 3.
That does count, yes.
Yes. So, and I work from home. I work in the logistics field. My company handles all kinds of freight forwarding, and
okay.
I'm the export coordinator, so I handle all of the ocean shipments and air shipments.
Okay.
And I have a lot of fun with it. Logistics has been a very interesting field for me. It's the analytical aspect of my brain going, and then the website aspect keeps my creativity thriving, so I have fun with that.
There you go. Okay.
I've been doing website design on a very small scale. Like, I am not some crazy website builder, that's for sure.
It's all right.
But I've been doing website design for my church for about over a year now, and I manage all of the content on their church website.
Okay.
Updating the current events, graphics, all that fun stuff. One of my favorite things to do is go on Canva and make my own little graphics for Facebook posts and websites and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. So, okay.
I'm one of my girlfriend's go-to invitation maker for that reason.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, I figured I don't have a lot of extra time on my hands, but, like I said, to kind of boost that creative side of myself that doesn't get to play very often, I figured, see if I can find some people that need some websites designed. So.
Well, and that's actually a perfect way to segue in, because that's actually how we found it. Because, first of all, I can share that you and I go back. We've known each other for actually quite a long time now, really.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and I may have shared this with you guys listening before, but if I didn't, it's a good time now since Olivia is here. You had posted that you were looking for help there, and at that particular time, we were beginning to look at ideas of where to branch out at. Now, again, the website is perfect because, number one, we are completely well, I've done some coding and things in the past, but as far as an official like getting website going to any level degree, we're complete imbeciles as far as that goes. So we offer to, and we brought Olivia on to join the team here because we look for unique individuals that have their own expertise here. And it's nice because, as I said, this is really laid back. This is not where, you work at your own pace whenever you feel like it. We kind of roll with it and we go with it. So when I mentioned that to you about doing that, it benefits hopefully not only just us but for you. The idea that we're building something here that will hopefully help. Number one, creativity wise, it's going to give you a lot of opportunities because, granted, I haven't seen any, just as a precursor, I haven't seen anything that you have done. And again, we'll get into that. If you want to share some things that you're working on, we will do that. But the idea being that, having that website opportunity, because being in the digital age, and obviously you're probably well versed with this, most people like to have something they can look at, like to have something, there's more to it than just social media is nice, but again, not everybody uses it. But a lot of people are on their computer nowadays, so it's nice to have that little extra something there. But it was just kind of a nice opportunity for us to have another platform where for you to be able to take care of that, because like I said, we even the majority of us, if we had a group of us working on it, probably is not going to compare to what you can do for that, because again, not my field of expertise. I know everybody else that works with the show, it's not our field of expertise. So we needed somebody, and that's why we tab you as our webmaster designer, because that's totally your baby as far as how you put that together. We'll just sit back and enjoy the fruits of that labor, because we don't do anything. So that's why, again, it worked out very nice. And so giving us the opportunity for growth, because we're trying to constantly find ways to expand and to do all that sort of thing. And that's why I feel like when I send ideas to you sometimes, it's kind of nice because I want to challenge your creativity side. And we have ideas, we talk about it. Some of the others, Hoss and I, we talk about it. Some things like some of our goals and ideas that we'd like. And we kind of throw some things out. We kind of that's why sometimes I'll send you some information back and forth, just trying to get some feedback, just to kind of see where the creative juices will flow, because we all have different takes about different things. But it's just that whole I think it's the whole process, right? Like when you do that kind of process, it's really nice, and even that alone can really energize you. I know for me, I always like to plan anyway. So when you do that and you talk about it, and then when eventually it comes to fruition, you see the whole process, how much of it really comes to life, visually, and very visually, aesthetically appealing. So I think that's a big part of it. But since we're going on that train there, so we'll talk a little bit about this, because I'm curious too. I've been thinking about this since you mentioned that. So when you talk about web design and all that, and again, I know there are some basic ways to do it, and again, I'm always impressed by anybody who can do it, whether it's considered super professional or something you just do at home. But what do you do? Like, what is your process when you design websites? What do you start with? How do you do, what's generally the concept that you work with when you do a project? I guess we'll put it that way.
Okay, yeah. So, like you said, we're in a very digital age, and one of my biggest things is our age, not only digitally motivated, but graphically motivated.
Yep.
Advertising, marketing, everything's about
Huge
the
selling
picture.
point.
Everything's about what you can take in with your eyes,
and
you can take away with just your eyes.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, let's face it, not many people want to work a lot to get where they want to get.
That's true.
I know
agree.
I'm there.
We've all been there. I agree. Yeah.
One of my biggest things, and I've done it a lot with my church's website, and also with events or anything that I've managed on Facebook.
Right.
For them, graphics are a big part of the scenario.
Okay.
If it grabs the eye, people are going to look at it farther.
Right.
So that's always my starting point.
Okay.
I've been working on doing a lot of brainstorming. I usually use general free website builders. Because let's be honest, anything it's going to have a lot of meat on it is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So,
story of life. That's pretty much how it is anywhere, right? So that, yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, when there's a small business or what have you starting out, you don't want to be dishing out a lot of money for something that might not get a lot of traffic to start off with.
We'll be honest, that's like to us to a T. So and again, we're hopeful, but at the same time, you know, and I mentioned this earlier, and Olivia, you've been nice enough to do this pro bono for us, but the goal will be that, especially as far as the website is concerned, as this grows and if things continue to be profitable for us, that percentage will definitely come to you as far as the website aspect, because we do want to be fair and compensate you with that. So I did mention that up front when we first talked about this, but that is, and again, I've talked to everybody else, so just in case you were wondering, that is across the board, everybody's agreement with that. So, but you know, same thing when we're just starting. And again, audience right now is generally smaller. We're working on some ideas for some PR stuff to kind of help to pump that up a little bit. So maybe at that point, so that's why I said your time is whatever you can give is flexible, because like I said, it's mostly out of the kindness of your heart right now. But hopefully that will change. So I totally get that end, and I'm sure we're not the first people that, or even what you've worked with, that have experienced that. I'm sure you've seen that quite frequently, right? So I don't think that's too new for anybody.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so another aspect of building the websites for me, you know, you got to have your categories spaced out properly. Like, that's one of my biggest things. With my church's website page, I make sure that, you know, there's a page for separate topics. Like, you're not going to bunch in your About Us with your current events, because it's just unorganized. Yeah, of course. And then keeping it updated is also extremely important. Yeah. I mean, making sure that, for, in your case, like your new episodes or, and that's one thing, you're on all these different platforms, like Spreaker and iHeart. So once you have those landing pages for your podcast linked to the website, then those episodes are automatically going to upload to those pages.
And they do, exactly. We just figured that out, actually. I shouldn't say we just did, but I noticed that because when I first started we had to apply for the application to put them on these platforms. So it was nice because one of the first things was, you know, don't worry about, you don't have to post extra. It will just automatically, it gave us the ground link. I mean, the links are like ridiculously long, but I've tried, and the only thing that was weird, and I don't know if it's because sometimes they don't work on mobile devices, but for some reason, just on the computer, for some reason they do, and I think a lot of it is typing, and maybe it's just the way the servers work for that, but they do work, which is nice. So from that aspect, that saves us a lot more time to work, because if I had to upload every single episode to every platform, that could be a full-time job itself. So that is a nice feature to have, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And one of my favorite things about the websites themselves is the fact that a lot of them have, like, you can add a customizable button to embed your links into them. Oh, nice. Okay. And then so you don't have this whole, you know, book long of a hyperlink sitting in the body of your page, because again, it looks more professional and more aesthetically pleasing.
Less clutter, the better,
there's this big giant button with the name of where I'm going on.
Who doesn't love big giant buttons, right? So, you know, there you go.
Seriously. So I'm a fiend for buttons. I love using them.
Oh, I love buttons.
Embedding the codes into them, and it looks so nice. That's one of my biggest things about building the websites, is the aesthetic aspect of them. I
very
enjoy
important.
It so much. Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, I think I feel like a lot of times and that's kind of when we're brainstorming, and again we have other ideas, and again I share with you, we talk a little back and forth. I kind of think about obviously this is mostly an audio based show. A lot of podcasts are, everybody knows that. If you don't know that, then you're learning something new. But the idea, though, especially when you do the website, and I have friends that have businesses that have websites, and I've kind of seen the level of transformation of what gets put into it. What, for instance, I mentioned my friend Ramsey, who run the dojo there, and if you go on his site, he has the video playing of some of us, training videos, taking videos when we're on the mat, doing that kind of stuff. But very, very eye-catching, and very much you want to know more, you can go here, 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 or here. You know, break down the different categories, different tabs for different sections for in the site. And I think that's same thing, like as you were saying, very important too, because the idea is I kind of the website designed too, and kind of like it's almost like going fishing. You know, again, if you haven't fished or you know fishing, you're trying to catch something, right? So when you go with the aesthetically pleasing, you're trying to get people to come in, you're trying to get people to dig deeper, to find, you know, to do more research into why they're on this website, not just come look at the front page and be like, oh, that's nice, and then they leave. You know, you want them to kind of dive a little bit deeper, and that's why the other thing, like I thought would be nice too, is one of the things we were hoping is maybe some kind of newsletters are a big thing. I know a lot of people have it as junk mail, but you know, for people that don't like, we have a lot of people follow social media, but we're hoping to incorporate like a newsletter option to where we can send something out if people subscribe there, where they will get notices when episodes are going to go live and so forth, because that's another way to reach a demographic of people that, you know, don't have Facebook or are not on Twitter or whatever the case may be. You know, you're trying to market that out in that regard. So that really, for me, and I know for as a consumer, if I'm going on a website, if it's not, and not everybody's anal like that, but if it's not pleasing to the eye and it doesn't have... I'm a simpleton. I'm like a little kid. Pretty colors. You know, like there's... it's not black and white. It's cartoony. It's blues, reds, pinks, yellows, greens. You know, think something that's going to be like... just suck you in. I don't want to... And also, I don't want to be reading... You know, like every time you sign an agreement, you have like 1,000 pages of, you know, words... You don't want it to be too wordy either. So, but it's just that eye color catching is nice, which I think is now. Is it when you do that? Like how I don't guess the question is not how in depth do you go, but how when you look at that, are you looking to go big right away? Like when you start to work on coding for getting the aesthetics there, is that something like that's your core focal point as you begin to develop a website? Is that really like a top consideration when you begin to plan kind of thing?
So for me, personally, like I have kind of self-taught a little bit of coding that I do know.
Okay.
And I try to use it as a last resort because I am that confident in my coding skills at this time.
Okay.
But so I really lean on the website builders like their templates and their settings that they have available.
Makes
but
it easier.
A lot of them are very customizable, and you can play with the colors on a degree that it's fun. And a lot of them have the option too that you can upload a picture and use the picture as your background. And that's where I get really involved with Canva and building my own graphics, because then I can make whatever I want to make and upload it and be able to use it on that level.
Wow. That's interesting. That's and you know, we from having the designing of simple pages like on Facebook and stuff, which again they're always customizable. I've been playing with the YouTube channel, that kind of thing too. But I don't know, and maybe this is how my take, and maybe you'll agree. But I just feel like, and I'm sure a lot of people, if anybody's listening, if you design your own website, if you know people that do it, I'm sure there's a lot of effort, and it probably gets frustrating at times because if you're like me too, if you're a perfectionist, you have to have things just specific. It can't just be, it's got to be right on point. It can't be close to it. It's got to be right there. But when you, beg your pardon, excuse me, when you look at the final product, and like say if you had a website, like even the church website, because you have that up and running, when you sit back and you look at that and you go, first of all, you probably sit there going, boy, that's actually better than I thought it was going to be. I've had those moments where I try to design something and you always tell yourself it's not going to be that good, right? It's going to be horrible, or I don't know if I know enough to make it work. But then when you sit back and you look at it and you go, well, you know, that's actually a lot better than I ever thought I could do, and I surprised myself, you know, moments like that. But it makes it worthwhile, right? Especially your creative side, when you kind of have those moments of, this is mine, I made this, and boy, it looks fantastic. Now I'm not just the designer, I'm looking back as like an artist looks back at the painting going, this is captivating, this is eye-catching, and this is really, if I didn't know me that I did this, I would be really impressed by the person that made this. You have those kind of moments? Is that something that you kind of feel about yourself when you do a project? Yeah,
for sure. And with the like you brought up the church website as an example, I faced quite a few challenges with some of the things that my pastor has really wanted to get on the site. One of the things that really took a while and required kind of some of my coding knowledge was the our online donation portal. there was no way to really link it to the website in an effective way that looked nice.
Right. Yeah,
like,
and it's functional at the same time, right? Yeah.
And like and that's one thing with the website build, the free website builders. Some of them they're very boxed in how customizable you can get.
Kind of like
them.
Limited, right? There's only so far you can
especially like you brought up Facebook and YouTube. Like you're only allowed to do what they let you do.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much anything now. Yeah, that's the drawback.
You can't change your background and make it all pretty.
It's horrible. Yeah.
And now, like so I use Squarespace for our church website, and it is one of the paid website builders. Mm-hmm. So they take care of the financial aspect of that. So there are a little more options as far as how that works, but still the coding aspect, trying to get that portal into the website, took a lot of brainstorming.
Yeah, I imagine
I was able to find some code that the company had created, and then I just had to figure out how to embed it.
Okay. That makes sense.
And customizing the embedded code was challenging because it's written as an HTML code. For some reason, it wasn't letting me change any of the CSS on it, so I wasn't able to alter the look of it, the color of it. It was just this ugly, tiny gray text sitting on the screen. I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
Probably driving you nuts going, I can't change the darn thing, and it's not right, and I want to do it, but it's not letting me do it, right? So.
And my pastor, it was driving him crazy. So I was like, all right, I got to figure this out.
It's challenges.
Eventually, I was able to kind of mess with the size and the color a little bit, and
there you go.
A little nicer, excuse me. But yeah, it does it. And I use it often myself. I go on there, and it feels good to go on and press the little button.
Right, after you put all that work into it, I got to at least do a little clicking here and there. Yeah. So, at least once or twice, you put the darn thing in, like, I should at least be able to use it myself.
Right, so, yep, exactly.
No, it's neat when, and I remember, because I personally did, this was years ago, I did sort of it was through a homeschool group, it was a class on, I don't remember how we got involved, but there was a family that the dad was I think he worked in some kind of technological field, but we did like classes on coding and how to do simple codes and designing like basic web page. And I remember I don't even think I can access it anymore, but one of the projects that was really neat and I really liked, and once I did it, it was a pain. I couldn't tell you how I did it because I don't remember now, but it was to put a counter at the bottom of the page. So if somebody visited the page, it would sort of like count like a digital number of how many people were on the site, almost like hits on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was really neat because I designed it where I think the way I had it was like it was the counter, but it had like little building blocks like that were around it, which was kind of neat. And so I remember putting this up and driving like family and friends nuts because I wanted to see how it would work, and I did it a couple times. Well, the IP address is still the same, so after a while it doesn't register a new number because it's the same device. So I would use other people like, hey, could you go on and just, what do I look at the page? No, just go on the page. You don't have to click anything. Just go on there, and then you can go off. Just so I can see the little counter. And I think at one point it was up to like 30 people or something. It was small, but it's those little details, those things that make it worthwhile, right? Like those are the crowning achievements of, and like now for us, for instance, too, and I thought about this, and one of the things I always, when I talk about advertise, is in a field where obviously we're not the first people to do a podcast. There's billions probably out there. When you're designing something for yourself, number one, how do we make it our own? How do we make it personal? And how do we separate ourselves from, I hate to use the word competition, but obviously there's other people doing the same type of gig out there. So, when I sit back and I think about not only for like the website, but just if we do a Facebook or whatever we do, like our pages for the channels, here and all that sort of stuff. How can I make it as visually appealing, but at the same time make it personable? So I'm not just, picking general colors based on statistics of this is a normal color people like. I want it to reflect myself. It's like an artist painting. You want to have personal touch there because it is something personal for us. So, that's, and again, probably for you doing projects, you can, whether it's doing ours or doing somebody else's, like it's that probably that same feel of what do you want that's going to be specific to your needs and who you are, and etc. Because it's like leaving a thumbprint or a fingerprint there. You're putting your stamp on it, right? So you want to have something more, and you don't want something that a million other people have. You want something that's going to stick out. And that's even when we did the Facebook page, and I changed some things on there because I wanted it to be as simplistic as possible for people to find it, to locate it. If you search for it, it's very easy. Kind of like now the podcast, even tonight, when we do episodes, there's always, the header is the title, there's the description of the episode, and then at the bottom there's tags. And I always put the same basic tags in there so that if people are searching for it, ideally it should be easy enough to find, right? So I'm sure, like, now is there any other things like that too that you incorporate when you do a website? Like, are there little not shortcuts or things like that, but are there certain, like, specifics for, say, a different project that you like to use to make that project a very unique thing for whatever you're doing that for, that sort of type of deal when you work on that?
So I have not really utilized SEO, which is what you're talking about with the tags,
okay,
which stands for Search Engine Optimization.
Oh,
that
learns for me. I didn't know what that meant, so there you go. That's something new for me.
Those are those keywords that kind of ping when, so, like, say you go onto Google and you search for a duck.
Okay.
Anybody that uses that SEO tag related to a duck, those pages are going to come up in the population.
Right.
And that's kind of how Google gets their list
Makes
of
sense.
websites to show you.
Right.
So I haven't utilized it a lot because, quite frankly, I don't need to on my church's website.
For that, I imagine not. Yeah.
we don't need to blast our church all over Google for quite frankly a myriad of reasons in today's world.
To put it bluntly, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it's something that does help a lot with trying to get out there and get into a new market, get in front of new faces.
Right.
So, and then as far as you were saying something about. I had something good to say about it too. The graphics, making it yourself.
Right, like, personalizing, yeah.
That's one of the reasons I love making my own graphics, because I can take what the author or organizer or client wants, and I can take that and I can turn it into something, right, and then I can go back and edit it, and it doesn't take more than a couple minutes to go back and make some changes if those are desired.
Yeah.
So and then that creates that real personalized, I guess,
touch there,
look to what they're wanting.
Right.
It's another reason too why I asked the team for them to write their own bios.
Right, yes.
Because then that's another personalized aspect of the website, and it's going to show each person's personality based on who they are as a part of the What's Up, Bro?
Right, family there in the show, yep. And that's actually the good reminder. I'll have to remind Miss Eliza to write that. I know we still owe you, I think, one more, but that's something that will come. We're just, it's a lot of things going there. But that's... But that's why, and I say too, and again, all these thoughts, like, going into it's really, I'll tell you this much, whatever I think about that can relate to the website, I think about the same thing for any of the outlets that we have here, whether it's the studio site exactly, or the software that we use, or Facebook or YouTube, whatever. The concept I always put for me too is the same, where it should mirror that, because again, you're trying to, we'll say the YouTube just as an example, because obviously we all know pretty much how YouTube works, but the general consensus there is not only getting views for the videos, but also getting subscribers, and there's all these factors into it, and I've watched and researched several videos about what, and again, everybody has different opinions. There's different experts, quote unquote, I guess you could say self-proclaimed sometimes, depending on where you're looking. They give you the insight of what you need for a show, for a channel. And when you sit back and you look at it, and if you could go through YouTube, and there's like billions of YouTubers, there's channels. When you compare them, so for instance, if you were to say, I'm trying to think of a good one, I don't know, what's the name of it? Fail Army, for instance. I'm not sure if you may have heard of that one. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, I see him on Facebook.
Yeah, like 5 million plus subscribers, things like that. When you have now, again, the concept there is pretty basic, but the entertaining factor, which I think draws people back, is obviously the comedy and the humor of, it's almost like America's Funniest Home Videos. It's that that catcher to bring them back in. So, and you can tell. I notice a lot of times based on the channel, the author who does that, how much they invest into it based upon content when it's released, and what the content, not necessarily what the content is, but really just overall how much time is put into it. Kind of like for us here, when we post, we always try to have episodes weekly out, or obviously this is our main show on the weekend, but we try to consecutively get them on the same vibe. And that's the same thing like when we're on Mr. J's show, when he interviewed us, when do we go on, we try to give the same type of information, and when we have ads going through that, same thing, is to try to help that subliminal message that keeps repeating people's heads. Because think about it, I remember reading an article about this, and you probably find it true, unless you're streaming on a streaming service now, but whenever you watch TV, you have ads, right? You have commercials. The thing that stinks about public television is I think it's more commercials than it is the program anymore. But
oh yeah.
That being said, the concept with commercials is it's to entice people, right? Whether that's buying a car, whether that's getting Taco Bell, whether that's going shopping at Walmart. I'm trying to think of some of the commercials I've seen recently. The goal, though, is, and I read there was an article that talked about the subliminal programming of replaying that same message over and over and over again, because a lot of times, like for instance, the big one was food commercials, Applebee's, Olive Garden, whatever, the fast food places. When you do that, and people walk away, or they're watching something else, or they're doing something else, that little tidbit of info is planted in the brain of, boy, I'm really hungry now. I just saw a commercial for Applebee's 6 hours ago. Now I really want Applebee's. It's been like stuck in my mindset. That leaves like that lasting impression where somebody's going to remember that, and that's like what we do here. We try to do is, and same designs for the website, is that people go there, or they hear information, or they listen to episodes, whatever it's going to be, or whatever the information is there, want it to be something that's lasting, that's going to encourage them to want more. It's going to kind of, it's like dropping the bird seed, trying to lay a trail there where you want people to come back. And now when you design, like say a website, whether that's for church or whatever else, when you think about that aspect of trying to reel them in, for lack of a better term, is there areas there where you consider like what's going to be something that, do you ever like put yourself in the consumer spot thinking, what would I want? What's going to make me want to come back when you're looking at this product or looking at this website to get information? Are there little things like that you utilize that maybe will be catching for people, in addition to the aesthetics, obviously graphically pleasing, but are there little things like maybe that you might not think about that you implement there when you do a design for a project like that?
So I think in partnership with graphics, like I'm huge on graphics.
Right.
I know that doesn't completely make a website. Like obviously,
sure,
that you can't just throw pictures up there and call it good.
That's right. As much as we would love to, because if that was the case, any idiot probably could do it, right? So
right. So I feel like as far as something, I mean, like I talked about earlier, in today's world, we have become such a digital age that the attention span of any consumer is probably that of a goldfish at this point.
Pretty much. That's a good one. I was just going to say that.
Like, I don't say that to be, insulting in any way.
No, it's true. It's the truth, though, really, if you think about it. I'm sure there's numbers out there, statistics that will show, and really because, now, I know, again, for me, when I watch TV there, again, first of all, my attention span is so short, especially when there's constant commercials running, so you know that after the first 2 commercials, people are tired of, I don't want another commercial, because it's all we're seeing now, right? So if you're going to hit a home run, pardon the term there, you want to get that commercial. That's like now, we're going to play it in a little bit when we run our commercial break. You'll hear our ad, which is only 30 seconds. That little bit of time is just enough to get to the point without, laboring it or beating it to death, where people are going to get sick of it. It's just a nice little caveat of information that's going to keep people invested, interested, and so forth. But that's sort of that same kind of concept, right? That's where you kind of really want to make the most of your time and effort, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like if I wanted to watch TV and just watch commercials, I'd just pull my phone out and scroll through Facebook.
Yeah, pretty
Wait for
much.
Alexa to start sending things
Yeah.
my way.
Yeah, even those things like you mentioned, like that's, and that's, now I wonder. Here's a good question too I can ask, and I don't know if this applies necessarily to coding and website design and things like that. But when you watch like streaming services, Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, Amazon, whatever, and even I think there's some like DVRs that do this. DVRs do it too. I know DirecTV, which I have used that. When you find, like, you know how they monitor, like if you're watching something and then based on your watch history, it kind of maps out some shows you might like based on your watching history and so forth. Or even when you go shopping, when you shop, based on what you're purchasing, there's a recommended based on, do you find or do you use anything like that in projects where, and again, I'm a complete novice, so I'm just throwing this out there. Is there any way that could be done where if you have a website for that, and again, I think a lot of it's based on IP address and searches too. That might be something a little bit different, but is that something that you either have used or find could be helpful, especially for a business using that for a website, as far as directing traffic, I guess, if that's the right way to put that? Is that something that you find, especially in our digital age, that's very, I don't want to say a bad thing, but like a good tool, or maybe something that's good to progressively help, I guess that's the way to put it? Is that something that you find or you use that's beneficial?
I'm not like very familiar with the aspect. Like I know what you're talking about, but like I don't know per se how to put it into action.
Okay.
It sounds
Fair
more
question.
heavily like a programming.
Well above your pay grade type of thing.
Right. Because I mean that's going to be an intense programming.
I would imagine, yeah.
Type setup where it's going to be tracking the person's search history or.
Now, is it? Why don't we spin it this way? Is it fair to say, maybe as a comparable adjustment, that you use something similar in the way of aesthetics, where you're getting the graphic, the pleasures there, maybe in a more milder form that's not, necessarily you have to be a top professional executive to make it work, but you kind of find other ways to pluck people's strings of getting to that cerebral cortex of the brain to really, like, again, goldfish mentality of, ooh, shiny, that kind of thing. Is that kind of sort of like a similar vein, perhaps, if you want to equate that in some aspect?
Kind of like that's what one of the things I do with like I've talked about the graphic aspect quite a bit tonight, but
yeah,
like with the landing page that I'll have for the different platforms that the podcast is aired on.
Okay.
I'll most likely either pull a graphic that is already created for that platform, or create something myself.
Okay.
Alongside with the link, so that people, because like logos, again, advertising, marketing, they're very picture driven, so everybody's familiar with a logo.
Sure.
And then I don't want to read that word.
Well, I will, since you bring
I
it
know
up,
what the picture is.
Exactly. Well, since you bring it up, I will say this. I don't want to spoil too much on the airway right now. However, I did mention, and I mentioned this previously, I did an episode on we actually have, so again, I may have explained some of this. We do have, the What's Up Bro Show is our primary podcast, but we do have a couple other smaller podcasts through we call it the production studios, our network. So we have a few little ones, like Haas does a couple himself. I have one that's sort of like an offshoot tree branch of the mother show, which is this show. But I did my little corner, which I call Chillin' with Sam Crow. It's just a little segment with me by myself. It's usually only about 10 or 15 minutes long. But I mentioned this there, too. We've been adding some new features to the show. We have actually a couple of things in regards to the logo feature you're talking about. I will just leave it at that. I'm not going to divulge. I will share that with you when I have more information there, but I want to leave that for the listeners as a surprise. But there is something, really looking into that and thinking about that, especially as of late. So that is something in the works, which is something you might be able to use for the website, which, again, once I have more concrete info, I will share more further. But again, same reason as the aesthetics, because, and in the same vein, making it personable, where it's going to be memorable, it's going to be, when people think about the What's Up Bro Show, they're going to have that image or images in their mindset, because that's pretty much what should be the captivating point, right? Now, if you may have noticed too, we have our logo that's currently there, which a friend of ours did design, which is still nice, and we like that, and it works fine. That's what we have for right now. But I wanted to take it a little bit further, just because, as nice as that is, I felt like there's a little bit more we could do to really make it pop. I guess if I'm using technical terms there, which sounds really technical, but you know, so. But that's a great point for that. So I will leave that there, and that's for anybody listening, for you guys to check it out. That's something that all I will say at this point is it's definitely in the works. Probably we'll have more details in the next week or so, and then we will probably unveil a few things. But interestingly enough that you bring that up, that's a great point for that. So that's something that I feel is very important there too. But we'll dive a little bit into that. I'd like to talk more about specifically like the website that just give us some ideas you're working at with us. We're going to take a short pause here, though. We do take a little bit of a break. Anybody needs a bathroom break, everybody does. Water break, whatever you want to do. We'll do that just for a couple of minutes. We hope you guys are enjoying the show. Olivia, it's been so nice to be here. It's been a pleasure having you here. It's fantastic. We're definitely going to love to have you come back again at some point. I will say this. I was going to say this for the end of the show, but I'll mention this now. We do actually have, I was thinking about this earlier today, one of the other segments that we do in addition to the small podcast, we have what's called the What's Up Bro Show's Game Corner. And just to kind of give you some insight, basically what we do, the entire podcast, everybody comes on here on Discord. We kind of have a camera so we see each other. Not the audience listening, you can't see us. But this is just more for us, for staff members and friends. What we do is so far we play different games. We've done 20 questions. We just recently started doing, there's a website called funtrivia.com, which you can find a billion different trivia games based on certain topics, themes, entertainment. And we sort of take turns, pit against each other, see who has the better score, who wins, that kind of thing. It's really a lot of fun. We do that periodically. We don't do it all the time. We actually haven't done an episode probably in more than a month. But if that's something that you might want to come in and enjoy, we'd love to have. We're trying to get more people to play in with that. It's fantastic. It's great. And the whole podcast pretty much is just us live streaming of we hang out and we play games live on the air. I'm hoping to, and Haas and I have talked about this in the past, which this might be up your alley, which you might enjoy. We're hoping to include video gaming as part of that. Maybe do some live streaming while we're playing, that kind of thing. So that's okay. You're more than welcome to. We'd love to extend the invite. And like I said, I'll let you know. Again, so far that we don't have anything set. It's kind of sort of whenever schedules, sort of the stars align, basically. Mm-hmm. So, but I think that'd be a lot of fun. So you're more than welcome to join us with that. We have a lot of other great friends that come in and play, other great gamers and things that enjoy it. So I think that would be perfectly fun, that you would enjoy too. So I'll keep you posted with that, but we are glad you're here. We hope you're having a good time. Hope you're beginning to relax a bit. It's a lot of fun, and once you do it, it's really, you shake those nerves off, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
It's great. We love having you be here. We hope you guys are enjoying Olivia being here as well. We're going to come back and talk some more. We're going to talk more in depth about the show's website that she's working on for us. We'll do a little bit about that. We'll talk some more there. We'll take a little break there just to get us a chance to catch our breath. We're going to come back. Stay tuned for more What's Up Bro Show. We'll be here. If you missed any of the episode before, you can go back. This episode will be up on all of our streaming sites for that. You can check it out. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, you're welcome to let it play. We'll have some music playing there, but you can also pause the video. Either way, doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want there, too. And hopefully, apologies, too. I forgot to mention this because we just started really incorporating this, but I noticed this on one of the episodes, not episode I did, but I was guest starring on another episode for another show. I apologize if you guys are listening and you get cut off. There are ads running because we have ads to run to try to generate income. Obviously, if you guys are familiar with that, you know that. So if it cuts you off, I don't have any control where the ads go. It's sort of, I turn on notification, I turn on that ad generator. It kind of just places them wherever. So my apologies if at any point any of these episodes you've heard us in the middle of conversation and all of a sudden a commercial pops up. I know I've heard that for myself. It's bothersome, but we will come back. I promise you that. So again, just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there. So stick around. Don't go away. There's still more What's Up Bro Show to come. We're so thankful you guys chose to join us on our Friday night. A very exciting episode. We got some more great stuff to come up to continue with. So don't go away. You don't want to miss a second of that. We're going to try to reach out to Big Hoss again. He's probably down for the count. I know he was taking a siesta. I may have mentioned that earlier too. I will try to reach out again. But again, you snooze, you lose, I guess is the appropriate term to put there. So he might be literally proving that point tonight. But we will be back tomorrow night for Saturday Night Show. So either way, you'll get us at some point. But we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Don't go away. Hope you guys will enjoy these soundtracks for that. More What's Up Bro Show to come here based on presented to you by J&J Production Studios. Don't go away. Stick around. We'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate and love you all so much. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Hey audio fans, are you looking for fun and excitement? Have you been searching for that special show? You know, the one complete package you want in a podcast? Then check out the What's Up Bro podcast show and experience what true entertainment is all about. Stay tuned and don't miss the action. Available on your favorite streaming services, including YouTube. Thank you for all your support. And as always, we'll see you at the show.
Soundstripe. 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 Soundstripe.
Alright, hey, we're back, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging in there. We appreciate you guys. We did not go away. There's more great entertaining things to come here. If you're just tuning in live, this is the What's Up Bro podcast show. I'm Sam Crow here. Big Hoss is down for the count, apparently. We've been talking about that off the air a little bit here, and so I don't believe we will be here with us tonight. However, if you missed the first part, let me reintroduce to you our special guest, our webmaster designer, our good friend who works with us on staff there, and also, I guess for lack of a better term, my special guest co-host tonight, Mrs. Olivia Bright. Thank you so much for being here, hanging out. You having a good time so far?
I am having a great time.
This is good. So it's safe to say you'll be willing to do more of these in the future, that you'll be comfortable, we didn't scare you away, or you're not too afraid to...
No, haven't scared me away yet.
Perfect. Now, let me add this part, because I think we touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but there is a plan in place, and again, this is down the road. This is not probably going to be tomorrow, but we are hoping to maybe eventually start doing where this will be not only audio, but visual as well, so we will be seen on the airway. Again, these are little tidbits into our staff meetings that we talk about back and forth and that sort of thing, and we really haven't divulged too much about that yet. That's something that we're going to get into, but so hopefully you will feel the same way if that happens. But again, we'll make adjustments and we'll make it work. I know this is fun because we tease Big Hoss about this because he's not wanting to be the face. I'm more of the face of the show. He likes to be behind the scenes. So this is kind of where we're sort of pushing him out of his comfort level. You know, kind of dropping him on the camera with his pants down, kind of making him feel comfortable, kind of thing. So, yeah. But those are some fun things, some exciting things we have coming up down the road. But the main reason we have, not only just to introduce you guys to Olivia tonight, but as we've been advertising, we talk about this on all of our shows. We try to update this on our social media as well. We do have, Olivia has been working hard. I'm giving you credit. I'm sure it's not super hard, but I'm trying to make it sound more professionalized as it will. I'm trying to help sell you here. So, you know, even if it's not true, just agree with me. It's going to help you to, you know, give a good presentation there. But you're working diligently, that's a fair compromise even, on the website for us. So we're going to talk here a little bit about, and we're going to have Olivia share a little bit about what some of the designs are you have into the website that you have for the show, maybe some features that you've incorporated or ones that you're going to incorporate, that sort of thing. Sort of like an update on progress, what you have so far, mostly just for the audience who've heard this to give more, from the horse's mouth, more details that we actually haven't known, so we can't share anyway. But this is going to be learning for us too. So what all have you had? What are you working on? And what is the website looking at? What is it shaping up to be? Can you share us some secret tidbits there? What do you got going there? Let us know.
So right now, one of my biggest things that I've been trying to fine-tune and I'm very, very picky about is the visual look of the website, the meat and bones of it, so to speak.
Yep.
background colors. Color scheme is huge, obviously. Colors tie in a lot to foods and everything, what have you. And like you said earlier in the first segment, making that personalized as well. So I'm kind of trying to play off of logo colors that you already have and X, Y, Z, trying to get everything kind of harmonized, because that's another thing. Can't just throw reds and greens together and call
hope it sticks, right? Yeah. Well, hopefully now for that and that aspect, like I said, I might have some more info for that. Maybe that'll help within this next week. So I will reach out to you with that, just to kind of help you with that process. That might, excuse me, I beg your pardon. That might actually help to answer some of those questions or help resolve some of those things. So maybe that'll be the case. So I would say, if anything else, as long as you're not stressing about it, that'll help you with that's coming up. So if that's something that might be a little bit more of a smoother transition once we do that. But it's a very good concept. That's very important. That's something that we think about a lot too, which is important. So that's big. So yeah, that's good. What else have you got cooking there?
Getting the team page set up and finalized with all of the bios.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Let's share I mean, we talked a little bit, but share with the audience. So, what do you mean when you say team bio page? What is that all about? What do you have that there for?
So, it's your general. You go on a website for your doctor's office or your dentist's office or what have you, and there's the about us page that lists everybody, and it always rails off, I went to school for this many years and I enjoy, and right at the end, I enjoy hiking in my free time. Like
long walks on the beach.
All these credentials and then just a little bit about what they actually like in their personal life.
Right,
so, the team bios, the about us page, so to speak, is going to give all the listeners a look into everybody on staff's kind of themselves in a tidbit that
perfect. Okay.
Maybe you're not going to be able to go on the podcast every time and hear somebody tell you about themselves.
Very true. That's a good point.
That's gonna, everybody's gonna find out who Sam Crow is behind the camera.
And it's
behind the microphone.
it's funny because I was not procrastinating that, but I saw some of the other bios from some of the guys through our group chats. I saw like what was sent. And, I kind of was like, I don't want to, and that's kind of the same thing with Miss Eliza, too. We don't want to rush, she didn't want to rush it. I want to make sure it captures, everybody's, like, try to get as much of a picture in words as much as possible. So that's why I said, and obviously we won't share big hosses, but that was pretty interesting. That's why I said clean it up as you will, because I know he tends to run as much as he can, but sometimes it's kind of together there. But I was sitting there thinking, like, I never take time to think about my bio, so I'm sitting there going, gosh, and I don't want to make it too long, and I didn't want to make it, I was trying to get really to, like, the meat and potatoes of me. I mean, there's a lot of aspects, but I'm trying to, like, think of, like, what are the core attributes, elements. The same reason, like, that, too, is what's going to give people that picture that I don't always share over the airway, because, again, whatever's there, I can always cover that later, but, and it's a lot, like, I know you shouldn't put pressure on yourself, but I'm sitting there going, boy, and I can tell you, like, that's why I would send, for you guys not knowing it too, I would send a living message going, it's coming, I'm working on it, but every time I'm sitting there looking at the page going, I don't like that, and that is wrong. I'm constantly typing and editing going, ooh, that word is not going to be good there, and then I'm looking at I'm reading my grammar going, that just totally sucks, that is horrible, and so, and I must have I must have rewritten it probably at least twice, I would say. Not fully like erasing the whole. Well, actually, I erased it I think once, but it's really like you don't think about that pressure, but it really is there. Now, again, when I sit back and look at the finished product, I'm probably going to go, "Oh, that's probably the best work I've ever done." And I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer by nature, so it's going to be a miracle. And again, feel free. I think I said this to you when I sent it to you. Any grammatical errors, anything you need to change, I typed it up as best I could. So if you're going to make me look good, by all means do that. But that's a fun little unique thing, which I know, like myself, when I search pages, I like to find more. It helps to give more details about who you're dealing with, and obviously, like for us, myself and Hoss, they hear us on the airways a lot, so it kind of gives you a little more insight there. And that's why, like for guys, like for you guys that don't typically sit on the microphone, we try to bring you in because it's kind of like getting everybody a little bit of airtime where we get personal, because that's part of the mainframe of the show, is to get personal with audience and members and listening to people, especially in the community too, for that, which is very important. So that's really unique. What are some other things maybe you haven't done or you were thinking about potentially incorporating that maybe, or some things that we we don't know about yet.
Yeah, and well, real quick, back to the bio aspect,
Sure.
like you were just saying, you know, you guys are heard on the airways all the time, and
Pretty much.
it helps, especially with the camera not being there yet. It helps
Face
kind
to
of
the
bring it to
name.
life, brings that personality to life, and let's get that connection going with your audience.
Exactly,
So
and I'm like,
it's
you know,
really important.
we know
is.
we're good looking, but you know, I want to make sure everybody else knows it too. So that's
Right.
I can't.
And
I don't want to leave.
There's always that impending pressure.
This-
of like, oh my God, existential crisis. Somebody asked me about myself. What do I tell them?
And I know, like this is a pretty face, but I want to make sure that, you know, I don't want to leave it to entirely interpretation. You ever have that where you go on and someone's like, I try to match the voice and what you look like, and most people usually are wrong, typically, just because, you know, we always have this perception in our head what the voice should sound like, what the face should match the voice. So This is nice to have that, and in that regard too, again, it does help to connect and draw in closer with everybody who knows. And I will say from our end too, and again, if you look back and listen to episodes, if you've heard episodes, I always say this all the time, you know, staff members, you guys that work behind the scenes are probably more important than we are, just because, for starters, a lot of the grunt work is there, and you know, we feel like we try to give you as much praise as we can on the airway, because we do appreciate everybody who works behind the scenes, because, and that's for anything, if it's television, movies, or anything audio-wise, whatever. It just really, those people are the ones that are the nuts and bolts of any kind of show, anything, audio, visual, whatever. More so than the on-air talent, like for us doing that, because, you know, it's a lot of pressure to put a lot of things, like we said this earlier with the website. I couldn't do it, Haas couldn't do it, Liza couldn't. There's nobody that really has that niche to do that, so we would be totally lost, completely clueless. So we give credit where credit's due, because we love and appreciate all of you guys that work behind there, because it really just, you know, as much as it makes us look good, you know, we all share in that success. We've said this during meetings too, where we all succeed together. So as much of you might think, oh, I just do the website, it's not important, you're as much of an impact for this show as anybody else here. So I want to convey that to you in case you don't know that. From a more personal standpoint, I can say that to you. You know, we count you as one of our core members of this group. Just because, you know, we appreciate the work you're doing. So, and I know a lot of times I try to message that, but you can't always type it down. So I figure I'll take this opportunity while you can actually hear me say that, to make sure I can have the emotion behind that we appreciate the work you're doing, we appreciate the help there, you know. And as much as the show is about myself and Haas, you guys all share in the wealth and the glory of that. So, you know, this is what makes it work. And in addition to that, the other most important people we share is the audience. You guys, as you're listening to this show, you're just as important. You know, really, the on-air talent, we're the least important people there. Yes, you know, we're on the audio, we're on the mic, we're on the airway, but we're really not the most important. It's those fine people like Olivia, and we're really excited to see when the work is finished how much of your personality is put into that, because obviously you're doing the grunt work, putting the site together. So, as much as it's going to share our vision for what the show should look like, a lot of it's going to be, you're pretty much the artist painting that picture, right? So with the collaboration of us helping give us some information and some feedback, it's very important. So we just want to recognize you for that. And that's a big reason why we're having you come on the show, so people get a little bit more insight as to who you are too, which is very important. But it's a lot of great things there. So we have the bios there, we have the aesthetics there. What are some other elements, like maybe some tabs or different areas of the site you're considering or looking at or working on that is going to give people the full experience of this show?
So we're going to have the tabs with the different platform links so they can find the archived episodes.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm also looking at trying to put together a page that's obviously not, I mean, because you have your YouTube channel, but
right.
It's not going to be a YouTube channel in the page, obviously.
Right.
But kind of like a landing page to push people to check out the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I might try to embed some of the videos onto the page. I've been able to do that with other platforms before.
Okay.
I am kind of learning this platform I'm working with too, so it's taking a little longer for me to figure some of this stuff out. Yeah. So trying to see what I can and can't do with the builder. Okay. But I think that's like having the YouTube to try to build your presence there, right. That page, and then your different podcast platform page as well, to kind of direct everybody to where you're available. 'Cause
Yeah.
everybody's got their preferred streaming
right.
systems too. Like so.
And that's a big reason why the nice thing is now we still have one we're waiting on. It hasn't been approved yet. It's still pending. It might take a little bit, but we have pretty much everything, at least that we go directly through Spreaker, that they offer partnership with. iHeartRadio was a big one. Same thing with Google Podcasts and Spotify. Some pretty well-known names that people use. There is a couple that we mentioned this too that we are investigating, looking at. They're a little bit more in depth as far as applying, but Apple iPod Music and Amazon Music is something that is in the works that we are going to be. We're still in research and development, so because again, there's a little bit more of a there's more red tape and a little bit more of a contractual read as far as specifics and demographics. But again, the worthwhile, obviously, Amazon's a huge platform, so if we could get on there, it would be great. There's also, I'm trying to think what else we have. There's a couple of things. I mean, we talked about a lot of different stuff. So, I mean, but really, again, the idea was to get out there and to be as easy peasy access as possible, just because for the same reason we know a lot of people don't use social media. We want to have other areas, which actually is a good point too, which we mentioned too. And I think we mentioned this, but there was one option we want to do, which I'm assuming is doable. If we had some kind of a newsletter option, is that something we can run through the website? Would that be feasible?
Usually there are websites that have there's obviously your basic contact form, but some of them do have like a sign up for setup that you can add. So I'll look into that and see if that's an option. I've also been thinking about and looking into setting up potentially like a forum page on the website, kind of get people to interact with you guys.
Okay.
So that would be awesome as well.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like, and that again, same kind of feature with Facebook, but at the same time, and that's really, the hard part is we go with our strengths, right? And obviously we're a younger generation, so we use social media probably more than we should or need to, but it's just that day and age. But there's a lot of people that, not to say old timers or old folks, there's normal people, even some people our age probably don't even use social media, but it's a way that we don't want to limit ourselves to where people can't find us. That's the thing. And I know Haas and I have talked about it many times. Liza and I have talked about, because she does a lot of the social media. We're looking at other platforms. We might get up on Twitter, Instagram. We have a couple ideas there. It's just trying to find she suggested TikTok. We might do TikTok too, which is more her bend. I don't use it, she does, but that's whatever's popular that we can get onto, I think is very important. So that would be a great way to do it. I mean, again, that's it. We don't want to complicate. Whatever is going to be feasible that you can handle and want to do too. But the more marketable and profitable that we have are able to connect with people. And honestly, I love to interact with people. We offer all the time, whether it's email or even through the chats. Like, we can do the show, we have chats for that. Anyway, we can communicate with people. I find myself, as a fan of whatever, when you can interact with people like that, and again, it's a little bit more personable, it sort of helps kind of solidify that relationship of, oh, hey, we don't just hear them on the airway. We met them, or we engage with them. And it's not, I don't want to do just like not a generic where, it's a fan letter back kind of. I want to talk to people. Like, if you want to talk to me, I will be typing it in response, so that you will be talking to me. It's not going to be robotic. It's not going to be, just my signature there, or some kind of like, like you do an email or a text where you have your signature stamp on the bottom, which is, you want it to be more personable. So that would be a fun way. And maybe there's some, you guys out there are forum heads that how to operate them and navigate through them. You could go nuts, go crazy with it, because we want to have people engaged and talking, not just us, in amongst yourselves, because the hope is we're looking at some PR things that are going to stretch this to help us not just in North America but in Europe too. So that's potentially down the road as well. So it might be a great way for you guys to meet other people, other fans of the show, or people in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. That's kind of that nice little way of connecting people and we can still see all that stuff, which will be nice. We can see the camaraderie and the talking back and forth in between. So I think that's a nice little feature. That sounds like a lot of great stuff. Is there anything else you've considered, or is that pretty much the basis that you have so far?
That's the basis so far.
And again, it's great. I mean, now one other feature, just I mean, I guess this is probably simple. We could probably add, like, I'm sure, like, testimonials, or people want to submit writings about how much they love or hate the show kind of thing. That's probably
I do have a testimonials page. I just haven't done too much with it yet. That's completely new to me.
But that's all right. But that's in the works, so that's there. So there you go. That's another bit of information.
Yes.
You know, and again, we'll talk about it, and we'll springboard, and we'll, you know, if you have any ideas, we tend to, again, staff members and stuff, we communicate back and forth, so it's really it's more just the getting those ideas down, which is a lot of fun. We appreciate that. I did want to ask you, I was thinking about this. I know you were, now, I don't remember the company-wise, you were selling jewelry for a while, is that right? Was that what you were doing there for a little bit?
I was, and I'm not doing that anymore.
So my question why I was asking was, I'm sure it was probably a lot of, I don't want to say hassle, but is it fair to say that a lot of the reason being was that it wasn't as, I don't know if profitable is the right word, it was more work than it was profitable, or something along that effect? It
was a lot of work.
Okay.
If I was not going live, I was not making money.
Oh, okay. So that's really, yeah. Okay.
So, because it was very hard to manage a website with as many moving parts as there was with all of the inventory.
Yeah.
It took forever for me to update everything properly.
Because you're running that. Was that you mostly by yourself, right? You're running that pretty much all on your own. Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, I made the decision to quit because it was shortly after I had lost a pregnancy, and it was just too much for me at the time.
It's a lot, right?
So I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, well, and you know, I've had some opportunities where I've done sort of similar things where, and a lot of times it's just not. You hope it's going to be something, and the flexibility is nice, and you're your own boss, your own business, but sometimes it just doesn't always work out the way you hope, right? So, you know, in that regard, it's and when it becomes more stressful than enjoyable, then it really isn't worth, you know, your time or effort and all that stuff. And unless you have, same thing we talked about, like with the websites, where unless you have, you know, unless you're like the Zuckerbergs of the world, or you have, you know, or even the Jeff Bezos, the Amazon owners that have all this opportunity to have who knows how many people on staff to do most of the work. When you're doing it yourself, it's a lot. And I can even say, and Olivia will know this because you remember back in the day we had the band going and stuff, that was really, as fun as it was so much work. And lugging the equipment, and both people, I used to joke with people because I played the drums and stuff, and people would go, "Oh, you have roadies to carry your stuff." No, I'm not the Stone. I'm not the Rolling Stone. I don't have anybody that works for me. I do my own setup and tear down. So it's, and when I say it takes a literal hour setting up and tearing down, it takes a literal hour. It's a lot of, you know, prepping and stuff. So I can empathize with you in that regard. That's a lot of, you know. And again, I'm sure there were moments where you did enjoy it, but just overall, it's just time to kind of, you realize it's time to move on or time to find other things. It's just, that's kind of the way it goes. But I'm glad at least you are enjoying what you're doing now, right? As opposed to, you know, absolutely hating it.
Yes, my full-time job is amazing, and doing my little part-time thing on the side it's great. I love it.
It gives you, and then it gives you, like you say, working at home, it gives you time to be with your family and the kids, you know, which is really, I will say the benefits, if you want to have a silver lining, since when COVID, you know, broke everything down, and especially in the U.S. and shutting things down for 3 months back in the beginning, you know, a better appreciation for really that as cumbersome as it was and cramped to be home and not go anywhere, but then to work from home and see that sort of transition as opposed to going out and coming back, you're actually there, which a lot of people still do today. And there's a lot of jobs that a lot of companies have fully transitioned to working remotely, where for like a lot of, you know, for like you, a lot of working moms too that want to work but maybe have family responsibilities and stuff, it gives you that opportunity to have that ability, right? Like you can manage that both ways, whereas maybe before, like say if you worked on a full-time job and you had to go on location or whatever, might not be as understanding from the mom perspective because you have mom duties and responsibilities just like, you know, anything else. So that probably makes that nice in that regard too. But, and I will say this, I shared this in case anybody else was wondering, and in case if Olivia was wondering this, the podcast here kind of came to fruition where the general idea was, I know Haas had tried to do, he had started one before and hadn't gone off very far. I know I tried to start a YouTube channel back in the day, amongst other things. And the idea for the podcast came in, where it wasn't a new thing. Podcasts have been around for a little while, but it just seemed like during that lockdown period, podcasts were popping up, all over the place. Which, in hindsight, makes sense because you have people who are trapped at home for 3 months and no one else to talk to but the family that's there, and you love them to death. But I know, like, the family being trapped, it's like, okay, I've had enough of you people for right now. Like, it's been enough. I see you 24 hours a day now. I can't leave the house. And so, as much as I love you to pieces, now you need to stay the heck away from me. Like, I've had enough. I need a break. Like, I don't care if you go to the kitchen. I'm going to the basement. I need to be in a separate room for a little bit. So the podcast idea was a way for people to kind of reach out to the outside world and to have some form of living, which is where really that kind of what springboarded this to happen. And, it did pick up pretty quickly. I mean, we've only been up and running a couple months officially. This has been a year-long project that we were working on. So, a lot of thought process and, pros and cons. Do we, don't we? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Same thing like for you part-time. I mean, we're hoping to generate some income from this. It'd be great. But it's more just of a fun part-time thing for us to do. If we will invest more as it becomes more, if it becomes more than that, obviously you kind of roll with those punches. But it's just nice to have that flexibility. And same thing like with you designing the website. It gives you that creative flow to be yourself and to enjoy it, right? So regardless of whether you make $1 million or you make 10 cents or a penny, you're still getting that enjoyment there too. So that's what makes it all the more wild, and we're so thankful for that. But we really appreciate just the work you're putting into it. Again, we haven't seen the final product, but we have complete faith in you for that. And literally, we're sitting back. That's your entire department. Like you run the web department for us. We have no grounds whatsoever to impede there. That's your own little corner of our podcast show. So enjoy that. So that's again, it benefits us just as much. So we appreciate that greatly. But we're gonna get ready actually to wrap up here too. I don't know if do you have any final thoughts or anything you wanted to share before we begin to do that? Because again, I wanted to make sure we give you your due time there. But or anything you even want to just say to anybody listening that you want to share, anything like that, go ahead. We'll begin to wrap up with that. So take a minute there. Anything you want or want to say, don't want to say, go for it.
Well, I will say that I'm exhausted, and this has been a lovely experience. I've had a lot of fun, and I don't really get to talk nerdy very often. So. Well,
we're glad. So we're hoping we will be in touch. We'll have you come back when your schedule allows. Obviously, I know things. Again, the guests, we make arrangements. Whatever's going to work for you, we will do. You just let us know what's possible. And we have plenty of ways. It doesn't have to be live. It can be earlier. It can be recorded on a different day. Whatever. So as long as we just want to make sure you want to come back, and if you do that, we'll make sure it works for you no matter what the circumstance is. So the kind of like, this weekend we had a change because you had a function. We kind of schedule conflict. So, but it works out, and this has been great, and we really love having you here. We hope you guys do as well because. Again, trying to get everybody up on the microphone so you can meet everybody. So now we can officially say we've pretty much had. Oh, we look to see someone else. We have a couple others I think that we haven't got on here yet, but Olivia is one we've been trying to get on, so it's finally happened. We're so grateful you could be here. We appreciate the time for that. Again, we'll love to have you come on another couple of segments we have, especially the game corner. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm sure you would enjoy that, and things of that nature. But we look forward to the work that you're doing. We appreciate that. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. We'll be going out soon. We're going to wrap up, do some things there that will hopefully get the site ready to go. We'll post updates on our social media for that too, and we'll also do for other episodes for that as well too. We will be live tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check that out. I know Livy won't be here, but hopefully maybe you'll have a chance to listen to the episode. If you get time, we would love for you to do that. You can follow up with us if you would like to. Again, if not, that's fine too. If you really hate the show, that's perfectly fine. We understand that, but it's one of those. I like to put that out there. I don't want to read people's minds, but we're glad you had a good time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Glad you could come here. And again, we'll be in touch with some other things too, some other projects as we continue to wrap up this project with that too. But we're glad you guys could listen. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna pause the mic here because I don't want the auto tune. We're gonna give Olivia a round of applause here, and I'm turning off the microphone because the stupid auto ducking always drowns this out. So I'm gonna play this. Olivia Bright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Here's the applause for you. So rightly well deserved. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Our best to you and your family. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and please make sure everybody stays as healthy and happy as possible. We're going to end that with tonight. I'm actually going to have Olivia say goodnight to everybody first. We usually have somebody sign off. Usually it's Toss, but he's not here. So go ahead and sign off. Say goodnight to everybody if you'd like, any way you want.
All right. Thank you guys so much. What's up, bro? Have a great night.
Thank you so much, too. We appreciate you guys being there. Check out the show tomorrow. We'll be live. We'll have more stuff coming up next week. Check out on YouTube. It'll be there as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we love and appreciate your support. We also end the show with this. We want to tell you, have a great weekend. Enjoy, but please be happy, be healthy, be safe. If you're going to be partying this weekend, please don't drink and drive. It's very, very important. And I know it sounds a little cliche, but it's very, very important that we mention that because we want everybody to be safe. No reason to be crazy this time of year. Also, I did forget, one other quick announcement too is we are working our holiday specials. We have something planned coming up for Halloween, so stay tuned for that. We'll let you guys know as we get closer. We'll have more great content there, more stuff to come to follow. Thank you so much for spending your Friday night with us. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. As always, we love and appreciate you all. We'll see you at the next episode. This is the What's Up Bro podcast show, J&J Production Studios, a proud presentation there. Check out all of our content on all of our other streaming sites, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, whatever your favorite area of listening to shows are, check it out. And again, it's on YouTube. Check it out on Facebook. We'll be expanding other places as well. Good night. Take care. Thank you all so much. We will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the What's Up Bro show. Catch all the latest live action on your favorite podcast streaming services, including Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also check out episodes on the studio's official YouTube channel. Subscribe and become a member today. Don't forget to also turn on notifications so you'll know when new content is uploaded. Stay tuned and don't miss a single moment. We love and appreciate all your support. And as always, we will see you at the show.